Same faces, different days. Paper says they're free till next week. They walk out, they walk back in. Door never stops moving.
72 prior arrests. Let that sink in. 72 times law enforcement encountered Lawrence Reed. 72 chances for the system to intervene. And a judge released him anyway. And then doused a 26-year-old woman with gasoline and set her on fire on a Chicago train. And Reed is not alone. Tonight, we expose 5 repeat offenders released by judges operating under progressive frameworks. 5 releases, innocent Americans killed. It's not a broken system. This is ideology with a body count. And the judges responsible, they actually have names. And here's what's at stake, because if judges can release defendants with dozens of prior arrests and face zero consequences when those defendants kill, then public safety has been sacrificed to ideology. Lawrence Reed had 72 prior arrests before he set Bethany McGee on fire on a Chicago train. Judge Teresa Molina Gonzalez released him. David Mazariegos had a lengthy arrest record before he beat Nicola Tanzi to death in a New York subway station. Alexander Dickey had 40 prior charges, 25 of them felonies, before he killed Logan Federico. He had been arrested and released 39 times. Judge Bentley released him. Timothy Bohler had 45 prior arrests before Lelawattie Narine was killed. DeCarlos Brown had multiple prior arrests before he fatally stabbed the Ukrainian refugee Iryna Zarutska on a Charlotte train. Magistrate Teresa Stokes approved his release. Pattern after pattern, release after release, and innocent people are paying with their lives. And some breaking news for your health, while the justice system fails to protect you. Rogue judges release violent criminals with dozens of arrests onto our streets. Meanwhile, Big Pharma wants you dependent on dangerous antacids for your whole life. One man nearly called 911 when severe acid reflux lodged food in his throat. Doctors wanted him on medications forever. Instead, he discovered BC30 probiotic. It works in hot coffee. Within 1 week, his reflux was gone. That is good brew. Every holiday party bombs your gut with sugar and alcohol. You can fight back every morning with just one scoop. I take one every morning, delivering 1 billion CFUs of beneficial bacteria plus organic fiber. They have a Christmas special right now. Visit goodbrew.com for your free travel size plus 10% off with your code NEXTNEWS. That's goodbrew.com, spelled GOODBRU.com. Now, here's where the story takes a critical turn. Indiana Representative Andrew Ireland just filed a constitutional amendment. Here he is. To allow the state legislature to impeach judges and prosecutors who refuse to hold violent criminals accountable. Elon Musk responded saying, this has to be done nationwide. Think about that. Lawmakers are finally moving to create consequences for judicial malpractice. Meanwhile, the lawyers for DeCarlos Brown, the man who murdered Iryna Zarutska, have filed a motion claiming he's mentally incompetent to stand trial. An activist judge, Paulina Zenas, just ordered the release of an illegal alien and MS-13 gang member, Kilmer Abrego Garcia. Remember him? The Maryland dad? You see, the pattern continues. Release, kill, deflect, and repeat. This is the news of the day happening now. Kilmer Garcia speaks after being released from ICE custody. Did he get those tattoos removed off his knuckles, the MS-13 ones?
Mi nombre es Kilmer Abrego Garcia.
I stand before you as a free man, and I want you to remember me this way, with my head held up high. Regardless of this administration, I believe this is a country of laws, and I believe that this injustice will come to its end.
Mi nombre es Kilmer Abrego Garcia.
There you go. He's out. He's free, guys. Party's over. The Maryland dad is free. The Obama-appointed judge, Paula Zenas, granted Kilmer Agreo Garcia a restraining order against ICE, preventing him from being redetained. A restraining order against ICE. Who's ever heard of such a thing? Is that all you got to do? Just find an activist judge who's just going to file a restraining order against the federal government? More activist judges protecting criminal illegals. Disgusting. And they all look the same, don't they? They all get the same haircut, same look, same crazy-ass eyes. It's a disease. And then this, 277th criminal charge. Thank God for Iryna's law. It's about time. 16-year-old in Charlotte, North Carolina, who was arrested then released in October with 15 charges, has been arrested again with his 277th criminal charge. For the first time, due to Iryna's law, he's been denied bond and will be tried as an adult.
Face new adult 18-year-old suspect will face new adult criminal charges after dozens of car break-ins in North and South Carolina. They accused the teenager of breaking into multiple vehicles in Mooresville in October and leading police on a chase. Officers reportedly found him with several stolen guns and devices used to convert guns into automatic weapons. They arrested the teenager again last month, accusing him in an armed carjacking and shooting into the home of a known gang member. The 16-year-old already faced more than 275 charges in North and South Carolina for vehicle break-ins between April and June. 18-year-old suspect will face
275 charges. Unbelievable. Well, at least he's now being tried as an adult. Third time is the charm, I guess. Here's Elon Musk's response to the move in Indiana to impeach rogue judges and prosecutors. Has to be done nationwide, he said on December 4th. Andrew Ireland filing the constitutional amendment to let Indiana impeach rogue judges and prosecutors who refuse to hold violent criminals accountable. Certainly. Two severely mentally ill homeless men with schizophrenia committed horrific random acts on public transit this year. Lawrence Reed, Chicago, November 2025, set a woman on fire on the CTA Blue Line. DeCarlos Brown Jr., Charlotte, August 2025, fatally stabbed Ukrainian refugee Iryna Zarutska on the Lynx light rail. 72 arrests for Reed, 14 for Brown, both repeatedly cycled through jails and ERs instead of treatment. This isn't just a repeat offender problem, it's a mental health and homelessness crisis we refuse to solve. Well, you could call it that. A mental health crisis, that's only going to feed into this guy's defense and plead insanity, right? This is the beautiful young woman who was murdered, set on fire. Or was she murdered? I don't remember the outcome of that. I know she was severely injured. Forgive me, I don't have the facts here. Again, this is the judge who let this guy walk a number of times. William Kelly, local reporter. It shouldn't matter that Lawrence Reed, who's been charged with terrorism for setting 26-year-old Bethany McGee on fire, looks like Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. But Johnson says he opposes incarcerating repeat offenders who look like him. Judge Teresa Molina Gonzalez freed Lawrence Reed despite 72 prior arrests, letting him set the 26-year-old Bethany McGee on fire.
He's walking.
Diversity and equal opportunity.
The first time I came out on the bench and the deputy announced, all rise, the Honorable Judge Teresa Molina, the whole courtroom stood up and I was all excited. He's walking out there. And I saw an Illinois State Trooper. He was African-American. He had a sleeve covering his tattoos. And he was standing there and he looked at me and he nodded. And I knew what that meant. And so I looked at him and I nodded back like, that's right, we're doing this. And it felt so good. It felt so good. So to me, a fine of $354, which is our normal no insurance fine, that's a lot of money. And some of the judges that I work with came from money, so $354 is no big deal. But to most of the people that come to my courtroom, it is a big deal. And so I always offer them the opportunity to do community service. Being a Latina in the office, people would tell me, like, don't you feel like you're prosecuting your own people? But It's true. There were a lot of, defendants that look like me. However, I had a chance as a prosecutor to make a difference as to what cases come in. I had a chance as a prosecutor to decide what offers were appropriate. And so I always offer them the opportunity to do community service.
So listen, I got nothing against anyone of color sitting on the bench. No problem with that. But when that color clouds your vision and your judgment, that's when it becomes a problem. When you provide leniency based on race or perceived economic status, that's a problem. Because that means that justice is not equal under the law. But yet we have a judge here doing exactly that and even bragging about it on camera. The same judge who let that monster free, who then set that young woman on fire. You see what happens with leniency? With perceived? Whatever. It's frustrating. The Bronx machete maniac, Timothy Bohler, 45 priors, nailed for a hit and run, killed a cancer survivor, Lelawattie Narine, left her dying after chemo victory. And he's out, apparently. This guy looks like an animal, wielding a machete, walking around the Bronx. Another picture of him here. Who let him out? Bronx magistrate, judge name not public in arraignment documents. I wonder why. Granted supervised release post February 2025, machete arrest, despite felony charges under the New York City bail reform laws. Much like we have here in the state of Illinois with the SAFE Act. What do they call it? Safety Act. No bond, no bail. They just let them out. Let them walk free. Alexander Dickey had 40 priors, 25 of them felonies, yet he walked free until Logan Federico was killed. Yeah. Another beautiful young woman cut down in her prime when a man should have been behind bars after 40 prior charges. The Judge Bentley, released him. Alexander Dickey arrested, released 39 times before he murdered 22-year-old Logan Federico. All of his mugshots. Another victim savagely beaten to death, New York City subway station. David not gonna try it. 25 killed Nicola Tanzi, 64, caught with the victim's credit cards. They could not even identify Tanzi. Brooklyn Criminal Court, 25-year-old David McGee was in Brooklyn Criminal Court. I'll let the video speak for itself.
Attack where it was fast work by NYPD detectives and the Brooklyn DA that brought this suspect to justice less than 48 hours after this horrific attack. We're here at Brooklyn Criminal Court awaiting the arraignment of a 25-year-old career criminal on murder charges for allegedly beating and kicking a subway rider so viciously he died. At the 84th precinct in Brooklyn, 25-year-old David Mazariegos was brought in handcuffs to be charged with 2 counts of murder, robbery, and grand larceny. The NYPD tells us that Tuesday afternoon, he confronted 64-year-old Nicola Tanzi at the J Street Metrotech subway station at Willoughby and Bridge Streets. Officers responding to the scene found the victim beaten all over his body. He was rushed to the hospital but did not survive. Police Commissioner Tisch says right after the attack, the entire NYPD got an alert with the suspect's picture on it on their department-issued telephones. Now, police on routine patrol in Times Square recognized him and captured him. When they arrested him, he had a more than 20-inch long samurai sword, as well as 4 of the victim's credit cards. Now, he's expected to go before a judge sometime this afternoon. In the meantime, this poor man's family has to cope with this sudden loss. We're live at Brooklyn Criminal Court. It was fast work by NYPD.
Unbelievable. And Kilmar's walking free tonight. These stories are so tragic. And that is the result of these activist judges. It's 72 prior arrests, Leniency is not compassion, it's policy-driven blindness. At 40 prior charges, uncertainty isn't impossible. At 45 arrests, the system's not failing, it's functioning exactly as progressive ideology designed it. These judges operate in jurisdictions dominated by progressive prosecutors under bail reform regimes that punish detention, inside environments where equity outcomes are praised and public safety is secondary. The question is no longer whether the system failed. The question is whether the ideology that produced these outcomes will finally face accountability. Because right now, Americans are paying for it in blood. You see, repeat offenders were released by judges. Innocent Americans are dead. Lawrence Reed set Bethany McGee on fire after 72 arrests. Judge Teresa Molina Gonzalez released him. David Mazariegos beat Nicola Tanzi to death after numerous prior arrests. Alexander Dickey killed Logan Federico after 40 charges and 39 arrest and release cycles. Judge Bentley let him walk. Timothy Bohler killed Lelawattie Narine after 45 arrests. DeCarlos Brown stabbed Iryna Zarutska to death after multiple prior arrests. Every single one of these tragedies was entirely preventable. Every single judge had the information needed to protect the public, yet they released them anyway. This is not systemic failure. This is ideological choice. At least Indiana is moving to impeach these rogue judges. Elon Musk says go nationwide with it. Until judges face consequences for prioritizing decarceration over safety, the body count will keep rising. Should judges who release repeat offenders face impeachment when those offenders kill? Yes or no? Answer below. And if you support our work, go to the next news merch shop. It's linked below.